Camille.
Don't take care. Hope to see you never.
Kids are here!
Dude, stop acting like you're the number one guy in this group, man. I'm the number one guy in this group.
Things are about to get murderous.
Hey, Cass. Welcome back. How are you today?
I'm so excited.
Me too. You're wearing orange because today we are recapping and doing a deep dive on the Taylor Swift On New Heights episode. And we're going to talk about fan theories about what the announcement meant. There were lots of Easter eggs in the episode that, you know, we were sure to catch. Well, you were sure to catch. It was sort of a love fest between the two of them. But she also talked a lot about her album.
You may not have seen it because I think only like 5 people tuned into it, right?
Yeah, like 5 times. No, I can't do the math. 11 million people, as of recording this, have watched that episode on YouTube. To put that into perspective, like that's a lot of people. 11 million, that's a lot of people. But to put that in perspective for their fan base, the next most popular YouTube that they've done got 8.6 million views. And this is only, this just came out like less than 24 hours ago.
God, that's true.
So 8.6 million views for the next most popular episode. Do you have any guesses who might have been the guest on that episode?
Jason Kelsey's wife.
Yes. Their 2 most popular episodes on their Manly Sports podcast have been when they have had on women.
Do you think women listen to podcasts more than men? Just in general?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then it makes sense. Okay.
It does make sense. Also, everything that Taylor Swift touches turns to gold and becomes bedazzled, as we know. So we love to see it. Yeah, I can't even imagine across all the platforms how many listens and streams and watches this has gotten, because I also listened on Spotify. So mine isn't even included in that.
I watched on Wondery. Like I have the Wondery app. So I watched it on there.
Wow, so insane. Yeah, so we love to see it. So with that said, really quick, we just wanted to talk a little bit about a shout out that we had a few months ago because you received something in the mail this week.
Yes. Months ago on our May 10th episode, Feeling the Burn, we were talking about Bernie Sanders. We ended that episode by playing a clip of a poet reading one of his poems on TikTok that had went viral that I loved. And it was called Daffodils in the Ashes, the First 100 Days. And it was about the Orange Man's first 100 days in office. It was absolutely beautiful poem. It blew me away. Go back, and I loved it so much that day I pre-ordered the poet's book. He was coming out with his very first book. His name is Robert Arnold, and his book just got here.
Yay.
I know, I'm so excited. Defiance Till Death is what it's called. And it's got a bunch of his essays and poems in it. So I'm really excited. It looks like you can also order it through his TikTok. The back of it just says, "Hope is a weapon, wield it." And I love that. So
I love that. We have to stay hopeful in these dark times.
Yes.
So before we get into it, this is Confessionals and Congressionals. We are a usually twice weekly pop culture and reality TV recap podcast. We have been recapping The Valley. We just put out our 3-part reunion recap episode today. You can find that on YouTube and Spotify. We are currently recapping The Challenge, season 42. We also just talk about pop culture stuff. And if you go back, we also talk about politics because we needed a channel for our rage when the orange guy was elected. And so with that said, please, if you're listening, we would love to hear from you. Comment, subscribe, follow us on Instagram, and DM us. We would love to know if you're listening. I know we have some new people coming from some other episodes and some tags and stuff. So welcome to our new listeners. And if you have been around, thanks for sticking around. All right, so let's get into it, Cass. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, our endgame.
Our endgame. Yeah, I think so too. Yeah,
I think they're engaged.
Really? Do you? Did you think they were going to announce it?
I thought they were going to announce something related to them because it was a podcast they were doing together. I thought it would be something like that. I guess that's just like a fantasy fever dream that I had, because it's also like not Taylor Swift style at all to do that. But I just like kind of hoped she would just like have a pregnancy bump or a ring or something. And maybe she wouldn't even address it, but like we would see it or something. There would be some sort of Easter egg, but she didn't.
No, no. And I never thought she would. I mean, even
Yeah.
in this episode, she talks about the fact that that's one of her rules about her Easter eggs, is they are never going to be about her personal life. You know, like as far as like the little clues she gives us about
Yeah.
what, you know, albums coming out or whatever, like they're never going to give information like that.
Okay.
So yeah, it would just be unlike her.
Yeah.
And we're
Well,
sorry to all the listeners that are going to listen to us like clear our throats 70 times. We are both still getting over
yeah.
what everybody, swear. And like now all the kids are back to school. So we all know they're going to bring home even more junk. But
Yeah.
everybody's been sick.
Yeah, we've been sick, if you can't tell. I'm going to try to edit out, or we will try to edit out as many of the coughs and ahems as we can. But obviously, like, you can't edit out the fact that I have a stuffy nose. So it just
No.
is what it is today, and I'm sorry.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I think this is going to be a little bit of an educational episode for me, because I'm a Swiftie in that I've been listening to Taylor Swift since I was 12, and she's my favorite artist of all time. And I know every word, basically all of her songs. In all of those ways, I'm like full on a Swiftie. And she's been my top artist on Spotify since the day that they started doing the Wrapped campaigns, all that kind of stuff. But I'm not a Swiftie in the way of finding the Easter eggs and all of the theories and kind of knowing that side of things. I know that she does it, and I get excited when I see that she's left Easter eggs and people put it together and it turned out to be a thing, like the orange door, which we'll get to. But I don't notice those things, and I don't really pay attention, and it doesn't really like spark joy for me like it does for a lot of other Swifties like yourself. So I feel like I'm going to have actually a lot of questions.
I will do my best to answer them as I can. I've also been a huge fan forever since her debut album. And I was reading an article today that I thought captured it really well, talking about the Easter eggs. And I think this is true. I think that when I started joining some of the Facebook groups, especially when she first announced the Eras tour, and you start building this community with other fans, it really becomes more about that, you know,
Yeah.
and like sharing together what you think could be going on or what this might mean, or, you know, I don't even know that it's so much about her at that point. It's just something that is fun to be a part of, you know?
Yeah. Well, she talked in this interview about how she's an entertainer, and that's she entertains her fans. The way that she said that, I was like, oh, that really clicks for me, because that makes sense. And what she has created, I mean, talk about building a community. We Ride at Dawn for Taylor
Yeah.
Swift. You know, she says that in the thing, and it's like, yeah, she has created a community that is diehard and spans across the world. And she's done that because she's deliberately kept fans in mind always when she's creating music, but also when she's entertaining us outside of the music. And being part of the community is part of being a Swiftie. And that's why the concert was so fun. The concert, I mean, that does not sum it up, but the concert was so fun to go to, because it's like you're bawling standing next to all of these other women singing every word to every song, knowing that like you were in high school when you heard it and I was in high school when I heard it, and together, you know, we're singing along to it, but we're adults now and maybe we have our kids with us, and it's just like it creates such a magical experience, and she knows that.
Oh yeah, she definitely does. And it was funny because, you know, last week the New Heights podcast, which is Travis Kelce's podcast, him
He's
and
a
his brother.
football player. You guys probably don't know him.
Don't worry about it.
Basically, he's Taylor Swift's boyfriend.
Right, exactly. And they had put out a preview for their upcoming episode, and it was Travis and Jason, and then there was just a silhouette in the middle, right? And of course, in all the Taylor Swift groups I'm in, we were all like, it looks like it's Taylor Swift's silhouette. Like that's who that looks like. But I think that we have like clowned so hard the last like 6 months over things that then didn't happen, that we were like talking ourselves out of it. You know, we're like, no, I think it might be Stevie Nicks. I think it might and then all of a sudden it was like, no, it is. And just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe
Yeah.
it. And even when I listened to it last night, I was a little bit afraid. I'm like, for all I know, this is going to be 10 minutes. And I'm getting so excited.
Right. Well, part of what I think made you guys, like the people that follow these Easter eggs and stuff, trepidatious is because at the AMAs you thought something was going to happen. And so you and I like watched the AMAs and we're like, she's not there. But she was definitely hinting, and we're trying to figure out, okay, what was it that she was trying to say? But everybody felt a little silly for going crazy that week about the AMAs when nothing ever happened.
Yeah, that was a bad day. And there were definitely a lot of breadcrumbs left for us on that one,
Yeah.
from changing her website to spell out AMA. So yeah, we were more careful this time, but we were very happy.
Let's start with talking about should we go through the podcast kind of chronologically?
Let's do that. I've got some notes for us. We won't deep dive everything because,
Yeah.
but then we'll get to some theories that came out of this. Obviously it started with Jason introducing her in a very hilarious way.
Yeah.
I would take note that she says to him, like, good job screaming for 47 seconds, which is only relevant because she brings up the number 47 twice more.
Oh my God.
So
I can't even with this person, actually.
I know.
I will say, the podcast left me as a whole, feeling like she's so normal. My takeaway was last night when I was listening, I was like, this is kind of boring, which is interesting because I don't know. I mean, it's Taylor Swift. And I just thought like, oh, I guess I was expecting like glitter and sequins to be like shooting off the screen or something and like everything to be really exciting. But it was really just an interview and a conversation with the three of them. And that made it a little anticlimactic in that way. But I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean like it was very normal. It was a normal conversation. But then when you say that she said 47 3 times, I'm like, okay, so was it a normal conversation or was the whole thing fucking scripted?
I think there were definitely some parts that were scripted. I don't think there were a lot of them, but I did catch a couple times where she made sure either a question got asked again so there was a couple times where I knew it was strategic. I actually found it the opposite of boring, maybe because it was boring. She does not give a ton of interviews.
Exactly.
We've
never seen her like talk in a long form like this, except for when I've seen like director on director interviews with her, or when she's talking about art, basically.
Yeah.
She'll sometimes do things, but not about herself.
No,
Okay,
definitely
sorry,
not. Yeah. So I think that made it like, I just really enjoyed it because I was just watching her be her and talk. And I don't think it was all performative, like it did seem like it was also just her doing an interview with her boyfriend and, his brother. So I thought that was cute.
It was really cute. My takeaway was like, oh, what a cute, normal couple.
Yes.
They obviously really respect and admire each other's work, and they talked a bit about the parallels between their two jobs in a lot of ways, and I thought that was super interesting. Taylor is so smart, and obviously we knew that through her writing, but then hearing her talk about things using the big words and then Travis being like, what does that mean? And it's like, she's like, you know what that means. And I just thought these two are in each other's corner.
Yes.
These two would never say anything bad about each other. At least for what we see, like they are each other's biggest fans, biggest supporters. And that shit is like aspirational.
Yeah. And I don't get any vibe of him being in any way threatened by, I mean, she is arguably the biggest celebrity in the entire world.
Yeah.
And not that he's not famous, but I watch football and I did not know Travis Kelce's name until he was Taylor Swift's boyfriend. Now, my kids did and my husband did because they, memorize the names of football players like crazy people, but I did not. So, I mean,
boring.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't get any feeling like he's threatened by it, or no, he's just proud of her.
No, he's so proud of her. He's obsessed with her.
Yeah.
He thinks she's the fucking queen of the universe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he got her.
Yeah, and he got her. And he is like, yeah, that's all I needed, baby. I'm good.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And this is her first podcast. She says that almost right away. She's never done a podcast before, which obviously that was a fact that I was aware of. And for the reasons we just said, she doesn't do a lot of interviews. I think she tries to make her music speak for itself.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah. All right. So then right after that, we get into their origin story, which we all, if you're a Swiftie at all, you kind of already know that he famously went to her concert and was hoping to meet her afterwards.
He was mesmerized by her,
Yes.
he said.
Yes. I love too that he thought that because he knew the person that worked at the stadium that he was going to be able to meet her. I thought that was really cute. I also thought it was funny that she made fun of it. And like he still laughed with her, you know, when she was like, you honestly thought that's all it would take to meet me, you know? And
she's like, if it was 1971.
Yes.
Or did she say 1947?
No, she said 1971.
Okay. Just checking.
73. No, 71. I don't know. She kind of starts talking there about how she felt like it was like a romantic gesture, kind of like an 80s John Hughes movie, like where they're holding up the boom box, you know. That was kind of what she thought at the time. I was glad that Jason Kelsey asked her, right, but how did you know he wasn't like going to be crazy? Because that was my first thought. I'm like, so you just heard that and that's all it takes?
Yeah.
You know?
She goes, and I thought, if he's not crazy, and that's a big if.
Yeah. Yeah. And it does seem like they had some mutual acquaintances.
Yep. Well, Andy Reid is the coach for the Chiefs. And I know this because I'm from Kansas City. So out of all the things I know, I do know Andy Reid. Okay. Oh. He has a mustache. That's pretty much all I know about the man. And yeah, but she said that her dad is friends with him.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
I did not either. I did not know that either. And so it does sound like there were some mutual connections there that probably made her feel comfortable. Right.
Yeah. Well, she said that a bunch of people reached out to her after he like publicly exclaimed his like attraction and wanting to date her. A bunch of his friends reached out to her and were like, actually, he's a really great guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, you know, it sounds like on one of their first dates, like she really knew nothing about football. And it was funny listening to her talk about like, you know, what's it like when you're there and like, you look across and there's, you know, Jason right there, and, you know, didn't make her feel bad, just said, well, actually we both play offense, so so
okay, also a question I would have asked.
Right. So we're never gonna, she's like, up until that moment, I just thought it was like one quarterback's here, somebody blows a whistle and we just go, you know. And yeah, it was cute. So he didn't make her feel bad for that, you know, obviously.
Yeah. She said she didn't know what a first down was. She didn't know, which is funny because she's obviously been to football games and she was a Eagles fan. But it's like, you must have not been that big of a football fan overall. I know what it's like to like not really know anything about football, but be like, but I'm from this town and we support the Chiefs. Like, that's how it is. It's like, my family supports the Chiefs. We support the Chiefs. I have Chiefs gear. Do I know anybody other than Travis Kelce and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes? No. I don't.
Well, and she says like most of her football knowledge really was not knowledge. Like her dad was an Eagles fan. And she was like, so on Sundays, he would watch the game. I would be up in my room trying to practice my guitar or whatever. But that was most of what my exposure was just hearing him cheer from the living room on Sundays.
Yeah.
So I don't think she knew anything really about the game.
Yeah.
And now she knows a ton. And I love that too, because both Jason and Travis talk about the fact that she did show such an interest. Even when she went to the game, she would ask Jason all these questions about what was going on and what plays were what. And, you know, Travis Kelce said that now there's been times where she's been the one to give him news about like who they just signed or, you know. So I thought that was really cute that she puts in just as much effort, you know, into like knowing his world.
Yeah, it's
as
really
he's
cute.
obviously done. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that it also just like speaks to her and how like I think curious and interested she can be in things. I bet it's like when I do something, I do it all the way. So let's learn everything there ever was to know.
Yes, she definitely seems that way about just about everything in her life. She's going to give it 110. So then we kind of start talking about the things that we care about. Not that we don't care, but you know, we start getting into like her music and the Eras tour and some of that stuff. I thought it was hilarious because Travis Kelce was 100% right. You know, when she starts talking about like after the tour, she's been able to just like get into like all these grandma hobbies of painting and baking and she starts going on about this sourdough bread thing that she's gotten into lately, this kick obsession, really. And she's talking about she doesn't like social media. She doesn't really engage with it very much, but she says there's this whole part of the internet that I love. There's a whole community of people that are into sourdough bread making, and there's all these blogs. And Travis Kelce goes, you don't have any idea how many people are now praying that you've been on their sourdough blog.
Yeah.
And my thought was, yeah, I want to go make one right now. Just to, I mean, can you imagine if you have a super popular like sourdough blog and you've heard, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah, it's like of all the things I wouldn't expect Taylor Swift to be viewing my sourdough blog, but I guess here we are. Yeah.
Exactly. But it was just funny when he said that because that was my first thought was there are women freaking out right now over the fact that, especially if they have one of these weird recipes, like she's making a blueberry lemon sourdough bread. And, you know, I'm like, God, if that's your recipe, you're just, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
So anyways, but they start talking about the Eras tour first and just some of their favorite things from it and how much athleticism went into it. She was talking about all the training that she did in preparation and says, I'm not an athlete. And they're both like, don't say that. You're an athlete. And she's like, I'm not saying it in any bad way. I don't care. I'm not an athlete. Like you know, and they're like, yeah, why do we think that's a bad thing to say? Because to them, no, you want to be an athlete. And she's like, I don't need that to be part of my identity. I'm fine. It was cute.
And they're right. I mean, she is an athlete. She's just not, maybe she doesn't think of herself that way, but what she does is athletic.
I think that whether it's true or not, she leans in to the quirkier side of her and the uncoordinated, you know, that kind of nerdy thing. And again, whether she's just leaning into it, I don't know. But I think that's more what she means is
right.
She's not going to throw a football and it's going to have a spin and, you know, those kinds of things.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like, this isn't part of the stereotype that I consider myself falling into. You're the athlete. You're the star of the football team and I'm the nerd.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. So one thing that I thought was interesting was when she was talking about, the tour, she was talking about how she wanted to combine all these things like Broadway, ballet, opera style performances, theater into the tour, you know, and Jason Kelsey's like, I just thought it was good. I didn't think about all of those things. And she's like, well, that's kind of the point. I didn't want you to even, you know, notice or think about everything that I'm throwing in here, but to almost make it like you're scrolling an algorithm where you're seeing something new almost every 30 seconds in that 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Which is just wild.
Yeah.
And then she talked about how when she heard these reports of audiences getting amnesia afterwards, that maybe the concept worked. Like, And I had read an article about this when it's true, because I don't remember very much of the night that I went. And when I read these articles, they made me feel better. And it was about, you could be so overwhelmed by not just what you're seeing, but what you're feeling and all of that, that like you walk away remembering a vibe,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't like go back and see it all that way anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I remember people being like, "Oh my God, I loved that she did the secret songs on this set were blah and blah." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I mean, you couldn't pay me $1 million to remember what the secret songs on the set were." I was just like so in the moment. And I remember trying to take a bunch of videos because I knew, I was like, I'm not going to remember this. And I want to like see videos to remember how this felt. Yeah.
Yeah. That same. I have videos and I'll watch them, and it still just feels like I'm watching somebody else's recording. Like I can recall very much the joy that I felt.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they all kind of talked about their favorite thing to see. For Jason, it was seeing Travis Kelce up there.
Mm-hmm.
He thought that was hilarious. Anyways, her favorite thing was the fans' traditions.
Yeah, elaborate on that.
So one of the examples that she gives is in the song Willow. Her and the dancers are carrying like these orbs that light up, these little balls. And fans started bringing in balloons that they were blowing up and getting lights in, whether it was their phone behind it or whatever. And they were all doing that. You know, one of my favorite ones is the 1, 2, 3, let's go, bitch. Do you know that one?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know the origin story of that?
No, and I didn't know when to sing it. I've only ever saw it on like TikTok and stuff afterwards. So yeah, talk about that.
So this was, you know, probably a decade ago, but there was a fan. Yeah, it was in 2018. There was a fan. Her name is Emily Valencia, and she went to go see her in concert. And just on a whim, she's filming herself. When the beginning of the song comes on, she just yelled out, 1, 2, 3, let's go, bitch. And she ends up posting it on Twitter. Well, it takes off among the fan base and they all start doing it.
Oh, that's so cute.
And then Taylor incorporates it in, where now
That's so cute.
She knows it's coming. So when the first chord comes out, she'll go 1, you know, she counts you down to do it. And then she found the girl that posted the original Twitter and invited her to come to a listening party for one of her albums just a couple years ago.
Oh,
Isn't
that is so cute.
I know.
And that is the magic that she creates, because what she creates is a circular experience where she talks to you, you talk to her, she talks back to you. Like all of this experience of being a fan of Taylor Swift, if you're in it, is like you feel like she knows you and she knows what her fans want. And she was talking even later, I'm sure we'll get to it, but she talked about the 10-minute version of All Too Well. And that part really stood out to me because she said she like teased it and then the fans were going crazy for it. And I feel like, and then they were like, yeah, please, when does it come out? When does it come out? You know? And I feel like when you're building a brand like that, like Taylor Swift is the master at building a brand. I think that she's the best that there ever was. Maybe.
Yes.
And when you're building that brand and you tease something and then your fans are like super stoked about it, you are going to channel a bunch of energy and money into that particular thing because you know that's what they want.
Yes.
And so it's almost like you can tease a couple different things and see what people are really excited about and then channel as much energy as possible into that thing because you know that they're going to be excited about that. And then it's like you get what you want as a fan. She gets what she wants as an artist, which is like she knows you. She knows what you want. And ultimately she like makes a bunch of money.
Let's go ahead and talk about the All Too Well part because I got very emotional during that. And I mean, we'll post a picture so it's more clear, but like I have like, you know, my All Too Well tattoo. Like it's one of my bigger tattoos. Like we'll post a picture of it and it's, you know, from it's a tattoo for that song, you know,
Yeah.
with the fuck the patriarchy keychain and all that, right? How we found out there even was a 10-minute version was when Red came out and All Too Well was on there. It was never a single, but fans really liked it. And she just in passing one time said, you know, when I was working on that song, originally it was almost 10 minutes and we had to cut it down. I don't think we would have ever heard the 10-minute version, except she had to re-record.
Right.
And by then, we had all the fans for years had been saying, why can't we hear the 10-minute version? Why can't we hear, you know, we just wouldn't let it go. And so it was such a great way to get people to listen to the re-recording, right?
Yeah.
But it is my all-time favorite song, hands down. And when Jason Kelsey asked her what her favorite album to re-record was, she said it was Red. And she said that one of the reasons was that it has what she thinks is her favorite song, which is All Too Well, the 10-minute version. And I know, like, I mean, obviously we're meant to be besties. I don't know why this is taking so long. But anyways, like, and I got emotional and I thought about it because this song means a lot to her fans.
Yeah.
And she even talked about, like, I'm getting emotional right now. She even talked about when she was, you know, on tour and the way that she would look out into the audience and see women just sobbing as they were singing along. Oh God. And I thought about why that was. And you know what it is that, like, I think for a long time, maybe my husband was threatened by the song because it's obviously about an ex.
Yeah.
Right. And I think now he knows what all of us that are in love with that song know. And that is that sometimes you go through something that is such like a gut punch of emotions and you remember all these like little sensory details. And then I think what the magic of a song like that is you feel a little less crazy for having felt something so deeply when you find out, oh my God, all of you did too. I'm not that crazy. I'm not as alone. We've all been through something that we can just like scream, sob the words to because we feel it. And so it doesn't become about an ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
You know, it becomes about these really hard emotions and things that we go through and realizing that other people do too. And we can have that shared experience.
Yeah. First of all, for anybody who's listening and not watching, Cassie is wiping tears away and trying not to smear her makeup. And and I think there was a long time where every time I listened to that song, I cried. And I felt the same way. Like, I remember when that song came out and I was like, holy fucking shit, this is the anthem for that heartbreak that just feels confusing. And you're like, was I fucking crazy? Because I know that you were thinking that you loved me and you never fucking said it. And I felt tortured by that. Or, you know, it's like, yeah, there are parts of that song that like gives me chills because it's the longing for the reciprocation of feelings for somebody who was never going to get there for you, not because it wasn't because of you, but because maybe they couldn't get there for themselves. And so, and it's like the longing for the what if that person would have been able to reach the emotional depth that I needed them to reach in order for this relationship to feel good. And what if they didn't run away every time things got intense? Because we've all dated somebody who it's like, I'm confused because I can feel what's going on between us. So why are you suddenly pulling away? Why are you resurrecting this relationship 3 months later and acting like everything is fucking normal when I feel like a skeleton now? And I resent myself for getting back into this because it is never going to feel the way I want it to feel. It's never going to feel the way that the fantasy in my mind feels.
Yeah. And I think even, you know, when that 10-minute version came out and we had even more of the maybe the aftermath.
Yeah.
It was also seeing that part when you finally see the person for who they really were.
Right.
You know, like you start to see that it really wasn't you
Yeah.
and it's them. And that takes a long time and
it
great.
takes watching them keep fucking their relationships up in the same way that they fucked up their relationship with you
Yes.
and not evolving
Yes.
and then wondering what's wrong.
Yes.
And you're like, babe,
Yeah.
I actually feel bad for you now.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
you could have had me. Like if you're Taylor Swift or whatever. It's like we could have had something together
Mm-hmm.
and you were too fucking dumb and scared, or you couldn't reach like the emotional depth. I feel like a lot of times it's like the emotional depth of what a really intense love feels like is just really scary for some people.
Yeah. Yeah. And like made me feel like shit for loving you.
Yeah.
As if I was like a burden with it, you know? So, and I think so many women have been there, and she managed to capture it just perfectly.
Well, that is the art of Taylor Swift, is that she has somehow written songs that capture a feeling that we have all felt somehow. Like every single girl almost. It's a universal experience somehow that we all resonate with her music, even though, like, how could we? We have all had such different lives. How could we all resonate with the same thing?
Yeah.
That is magic. That is
Yes.
magical writing and storytelling.
Absolutely. Absolutely. She's right when she's, and you know, she did an interview years ago when she came out with Red. She was going through a hard breakup. Obviously, we know some of the songs that are on there, like All Too Well, right? And she talked about she talked about how heartbroken she was and how much healing she felt when she would go sing those songs to a crowd of people that were singing them back to her.
Yeah.
And that it started to heal parts of herself that had just went through it.
Yeah,
So,
and same for us. Every time we scream, sing it in the car.
Yes, 100%.
Eventually it stops making you cry.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got emotional, but to be fair, Taylor got emotional too. She started crying a little bit. Yeah. And that got me choked up too.
Yeah.
And that was when she was talking about getting her master's back, you know, the music that she's been trying to get back for over a decade.
Yeah.
And the story of how she was able to get them back. I liked that. It sounds like when they were acquired by Shamrock Capital, that was when she started to think there was an actual opportunity to get them back. And rather than send managers and all of that, she sent her mom and her brother to go try to talk to them. And
yeah, she said that she felt that the angle of strategy or like business wouldn't work, that she wanted to appeal to the emotional side of the reason that she wanted it back. Like the reason that she wanted it back wasn't for the money.
Right. She said
it
this
wasn't
is my
for the business.
Right. She said these are songs that are of my handwritten diaries when I was 15. Like I want them. And it worked.
Yeah, she said it haunted her every day.
Yep.
That she thought about it every day. She thought about the fact that the music that she wrote with her own hands belonged to someone else and would go to somebody else's kids in their will.
Yeah. So she talks about, you know, finding out. I thought it was hilarious when she gets a phone call finding out that she owns her music. She's got her master's back, and she says she went to go tell Travis, and he was playing video games with his friends.
Travis is such a boy.
Yes. Yes.
I was listening to that podcast feeling like a fish out of water, to be honest. I was like, what are they talking about when they were talking about sports? When they were doing the beginning intro, I sent you a voice note because I was like, when they do the beginning intro and they're like, and this is, you know, Jason Kelsey, Ohio State they did some sort of like intro about his sports. I can't even like replicate it. And they were
Right.
like the go Bearcats or whatever. And I was like, oh my God.
Go Bearcat.
Embarrassing for them. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, God, boys are embarrassing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, but no, they are. And it's so interesting too, because it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, just with the kind of guy that you write like all too well about, right? It's just,
Yeah.
I didn't date a lot of people like my husband until I was with him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so I just think it's interesting.
And your husband is a masculine, manly kind of guy.
Yes. He's not going to read poetry in a coffee house.
Yeah.
That's not going to be where you would find him.
Yeah, the men that read poetry in a coffee house are always the ones that fuck you up the worst.
1,000,000%. And I kind of think that's, you know, when you think about Taylor and some of her exes, they would strike me as the poetry reading in a coffee house kind of guys.
Yep.
And now she's found a quarterback, or not a quarterback, but a football player. And, you know,
Tight end.
yeah.
Right?
What's that? I think
He's a tight
so.
end.
Yeah, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
They said that word in the podcast, so I think that must be what he is.
They said that word in the pod. Yeah, probably. Probably. And you know, she does just start crying and talks about how she cried that day, just like collapsed into his arms essentially when she found out that she owned her music. And it was
Yeah.
interesting listening to her talk too, just about, you know, that was one of the reasons that she did the Eras tour and that she turned it into what it was this was a lot of money to buy back those masters.
Yeah, she said she's been saving up for it her whole life.
Yes. Yes.
How much was it?
$360 million. Like, that's almost $500 million. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, when they talked about how her tour grossed whatever, like over $1 billion, and you're like, holy fucking shit, what is she going to do with all that money? And it's like, she's going to buy her music back and then probably pay her bills, and then she's going to be broke again.
Right. Well, and then, I mean, you hear about all these bonuses she gave out that were life-changing. And not to say that she didn't take home plenty, obviously. Right. But it's hard to be mad when you're watching someone do so much right.
Yeah.
You know?
I know. The internet has been, pop culture chat, especially on Reddit, which I know how you feel about Reddit, okay? Mm-hmm. Has been really trying to make her out to be MAGA or whatever. Have you? Yeah. They're really trying to associate her with, I mean, yeah, Patrick Mahomes and Brittany Mahomes are MAGA. At least they were a few years ago. I don't know how they are now. I'm sure they are still. And they're friends with them. And yeah, me personally, I'm not friends with anybody who's MAGA. And do I often judge people who are? Like, yes, I have a double standard for Taylor Swift. I will admit it. There is a double standard for most everybody. Most other celebrities, like Johnny Bananas, I find out they're MAGA or they're associated with MAGA, and I'm like, never mind. I'm not interested in anything that you've got to offer. But anyway, so the internet has been being like, God, I can't even like make up some of the posts that they've been writing in the pop culture chat, being like, the first person that she told about her getting her masters back was Patrick. What were MAGA, Brittany and Patrick, you know, like putting that in the headlines and stuff. And I don't know, can we like explore that really quick?
I do not believe that she is MAGA at all. I think she's been very clear where she stands on most of the issues that matter.
Well, she publicly supported Kamala.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, unless that's all a shtick, which I think people are kind of like implying. I think they're saying like, yeah, she might do what people want her to do in public, but behind closed doors, she's probably MAGA. That's what I think people think.
I think I think that it's the opposite. I think for very many, many years, especially having started as a country singer, I think she was quiet about the fact that she was left-leaning.
Yeah.
Because we all learned from what happened to the Dixie Chicks that is dangerous to do if your fan base comes from country music.
Mm.
And so I think for a long time, she worked really hard to not talk about it. And I remember seeing her on late night one time, and I forget if it was Leno or Letterman, but it was one of them. And I just remember they were applauding the fact that she said, I just feel like most people probably don't want to hear what I have to say. They just want me to sing and do my music. And they were just like, yes, thank you. And so if anything, I remember when I saw the documentary she did, Miss Americana, you could tell that she knew this is going to cost me. And she had a team of people saying,
Don't
this
do
is
it.
going to cost you. Don't
Yeah.
do this. Right. And she's still like, I'm not okay not doing it. If
Yeah.
there are people that think that it is okay to take away same-sex marriage or women's rights and I piss them off, I don't care.
Yeah.
And I thought that was
Just before we sort of like move forward, because we know Brittany and Patrick are MAGA, but other than that, people are like, they think that Travis is. But Travis did a Moderna commercial or Pfizer commercial or some commercial during COVID for
Yep.
the vaccine. And he's also done one other thing that people were thinking, yeah, probably not MAGA. I think Andy Reid is MAGA. And I think that, but we know that Jason Kelsey's family is very left.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's like a mixed group of people. And I wonder if when you're that famous or that, yeah, maybe that famous, like those things matter less for some reason. And maybe we can explore that at a different time. But I'm thinking about like whether I have a moral dilemma around this or not. That's what I'm trying to explore.
Okay. I mean, the thing is that none of that seems out of character for what I've always known of Taylor Swift. Like, what is that guy that does that Barstool, whatever?
Dave Portnoy.
Okay.
Yeah, Dave Portnoy. That's another like thing where she's like very friendly with him.
And I actually, again, this is one of those things where I feel like she's a bigger person and I feel like it's an area I need to work on. And that is that basically some people had said, isn't it time to cancel her now that she's come out in support of Kamala and she's trying to get people to vote and da-da-da-da. And he refused to jump on that bandwagon and was like, no, I'm not I can still like her music and still be a fan of hers, even though we don't agree politically. And that led to her leaving him that handwritten note when he came to the Eras tour. And the note was just like, thank you for always having my back. I don't know.
Oh, I see. I didn't know the context of his
Yeah.
fan base being like, should we cancel her now?
You said that her first call after she got her master's was to Brittany Mahomes. You said that you thought you heard that on the podcast, right?
Yeah.
And I saw a Reddit post that said something similar, which confused me because she said her first phone call was to Phoebe Bridgers, the musician that she had.
Yeah.
That's who she said she called, right?
Yeah.
But I had seen the Reddit post and now you just said it. So then I'm Googling and it looks like what happened was that Patrick Mahomes, when he was at training camp, somebody said, did you know that Taylor Swift was going on? And he said, yeah, because they FaceTimed us after they did the podcast. And that game of telephone that I just said to you, like became somebody making a post saying the first call she made was to Brittany Mahomes after getting her master's, which isn't true. That's not what she said. But you see what I'm saying? And then it's like, that was not her first phone call to Brittany Mahomes after getting her master's. When you said that, I was just like, God, that makes me feel like they're way closer than I would think.
But she did then call them pretty soon. Oh, they called Patrick after they did the podcast together, basically to be like, we just did New Heights together. Taylor was on the podcast.
Yes.
Debunking fake news.
Yep, that's exactly right. She starts talking a little bit about the Easter eggs and her philosophy on that, where it's never going to be about her personal life. She talks about the NYU speech, which I remember that very well. Do you remember this?
I do remember this. This is so weird. I feel like I heard a different version of the podcast or something. You keep bringing up things that I do not remember hearing. Like, I do not remember her talking about that.
Yeah, she talks about when she got that honorary degree.
Yeah.
She went and gave a speech.
Yeah, I remember that. I just don't remember her talking about it on the podcast.
Okay. So she talks about it in the context of the Easter eggs, because she's talking about how her fans, when the next album came out, everybody was like, oh my God, that speech was nothing but Easter eggs, because it was so many of the lyrics that ended up on the next album.
Okay. Yeah.
So she's like, she was talking about how exciting it is when she's able to get them like that. You know, like, you didn't figure it out. You had to wait for the surprise. But it's neat when they do as well.
Yeah.
This is also the second, during this part where she's talking about the Easter eggs, becomes the second time that she brings up keeping it 100, because they start talking about numerology and how he's 87, she's 13. When you add it up, it's 100. And then they do this keeping it 100 a couple times back and forth, which we can kind of take that to go right into the new album and the theories that are coming out. So
Okay.
this is when she announced
Wait,
it.
can I say something though? I feel like you didn't. Also, one of the Easter eggs she talked about that she was really excited that people caught on to was the orange door at the very last show of the Eras tour. She left the stage and entered an orange door. She exited left instead of right or something like that. She went through an orange door and fans were like going crazy. And it's like something that you would only know if you had been to multiple shows or you had watched online other shows and then noticed that this one was different. And I just thought, damn, dude. The masterminding that has to go into so far in advance putting all of these Easter eggs out so that people will pick up on them. And she talks about how she wrote that album, the album that's coming out, during her European leg of her fucking Eras tour. And I want to die knowing how like freaking productive she is. But she's just like, I love it, man. I just love it. And I believe that. I think she just loves making music. She said she would leave the show. She would do her multiple nights in a row of the show. And then she would fly to Sweden and record in Sweden. And when I worked at Spotify, I went to Sweden for a work event because Sweden is where Spotify is founded.
Okay.
And yeah, they're like very well known for how musically talented they are, the Swedish people. They're very musically talented and inclined. I don't know. It's like part of the culture.
Yeah. Well, and when she talks about, well, first of all, during that leg of the tour as well, like Tortured Poets is coming out and she's learning the new choreography for that they're going to add in. I mean, it's just, and I can't even get the girls' lunch packed the night before school all the time. So I don't know what's wrong with me.
Yeah. She talks about how every single day is the same when you're on tour and stuff. And I think that definitely has something to do with it. I mean, first of all, she can outsource everything. She's not making people's lunch. Second of all, there are probably people around her around the clock, like making sure she's on schedule and that her routine is like created and that like her bath is ready. And, you know, she doesn't have to do all the menial things that you and I have to do to keep our days running. She has people doing that for her. So we can't feel that bad about ourselves, but still.
You're right. That is the problem. I need somebody to just take care of all that. And then I think I got it. Started to clock that on the next time I watched, because I've watched this now 3 or 4 times. And it was around that moment I was like, all right, I'm going to need to go back and start looking for Easter eggs, because the person that brings up the orange door is Jason Kelsey. And so that was when I really knew, okay, there's been certain things that he's been told to say a certain way.
Yep.
You know, and so that means there's going to be some other things here that I need to go back and listen for. So yeah, he brings up, you know, and it's funny because they both try to play it off like, oh, you noticed that? But she's also doing it with a grin of knowing everybody's going to know. You know, it reminded me of Lisa Vanderpump's husband and the Tom Sandoval moment.
Ken.
Yeah. When Ken comes in.
Can you believe that Raquel spent the night at Tom Sandoval's house while Ariana was out of town. Like he's reading off of a cue card.
That is how I felt when Jason Kelsey was like, I noticed on the last night this orange door. I'm like, oh, you did? You noticed that?
Like, you're going to tell me that your favorite part of the Eras tour was when your brother came out, but also that you noticed the orange door?
Right.
Not buying it.
No.
Sorry, we just have a special guest.
Yes, we do.
My baby's here. He just woke up from his nap, so we're doing baby things with him.
We're going with it. We are going with it. As they talk about the orange door, she lets us know that was meant to signal the end of one era and the beginning of a new one.
Yes.
And this is when she pulls out the mint green briefcase and announces Taylor Swift's 12th album, The Life of a Showgirl. And explains when, just like you said, when she was recording it during the European leg. She gives us all of the track titles.
Yes, very deliberately.
Yes, very deliberately. She also says repeatedly, there's only 12. There will not be 13. There will not be it's just this one, these 12. She talks about orange representing the energy of her life during the tour, just very joyful. And that this album is going to be produced solely by Max Martin and Shellback. So it's the first time that she's not working with, what is his name? Is it Jack something?
Jack Antonoff.
Yes.
I cannot believe you don't know his name.
I know. Well, again.
Yeah, and Jack Antonoff, I feel like Jack Antonoff is who she writes sad music with.
Yes.
And these two are who she writes happy music with, it seems like, because she listed a bunch of songs, which I'm sure you have written down there, that they wrote together before, because they've collaborated, of course, before. But she's collaborated with Jack Antonoff on Folklore, Evermore, Midnights, Tortured Poets, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, they've been collaborators for a while.
Right. And I knew this is one of those Easter eggs that most of us had figured out before she announced that, because she put up a playlist on Spotify a few days ago that she had made. And all of the songs that were on the playlist were songs that had been produced by Max Martin and Shellback.
Okay.
So that was like our first clue that that's who she's going to work with on the new album.
Okay.
So then she talks about the cover art a little bit. And I'm just going to take this to go right into some of the theories, because as she's talking about the album, she repeatedly is making references to the album really capturing her being on the Eras tour and that time in her life.
Okay.
She talks about the cover really showing her end of night routine when she was on the Eras tour, like all the makeup and you're getting into the bath to get cleaned up finally. She talks about, so that symbolized her offstage inner life is what she says. There's repeated references to that fact, which is why I think most of us believe that we in the near future are going to get the announcement of the documentary, which we've all known is coming. The last 3 nights of the Eras tour were filmed, and this is after the movie had come out, where you could go, the concert film.
Yeah.
The last 3 nights were filmed much the same way that we had seen cameras in California when she did the film, the concert film. And so we've kind of heard those rumblings for a long time, but there's so many references to that while she's talking that I think we all feel pretty confident that that is where this is going. That would be, I think, the easiest and biggest Easter egg that we would all probably agree.
Okay. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
And we've known this is coming because has she said it, or is it just like heavily implied before? Has she said that there's a documentary?
No, she has not. But it's also one that she has not shot down. And she will sometimes say, that she's thought of that, but it's not the time, or what, things like that. She hasn't said anything. She's not done anything to shoot down the rumors, nor has any of sources close to her.
Right.
That usually...
AKA Tree Pain.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay. I mentioned, see, now you've got me thinking about a whole nother thing. Because I did mention that twice she brings up the number 47.
Yes.
And then when you said orange guy, then I started thinking like, oh God, when you said orange guy and the album's orange, and you were like, I thought we knew that was a correlation. I'm like, I don't think so. But now I'm like, God, 47, like that's what some people call, he's our 47th, right? Like,
interesting.
I know. So I don't know.
And does 47 have any relevance otherwise for us?
No, not that we know of yet.
It's interesting.
Not that we know of yet. There are some theories that, and I don't know why I don't want this to be true, whereas other people seem very excited. There are some theories that she could be using this to end up announcing that she's going to do a Las Vegas residency.
No, there's no fucking way.
I really don't want that to be true.
No, she's not doing that. No.
Are you deciding that, or do you feel confident?
There's just no way.
Yeah.
That she would stoop that low, no offense.
Well, it's interesting you say that because 15 years ago, maybe even 10, I would have agreed with you. But it has started to take this turn in the last decade where there are bigger names doing residencies there. So the article that I read said the first one to do it that started to make it more accessible was when Britney Spears did it originally.
Okay.
Then Mariah Carey, Blake Shelton, Keith Urban, Celine Dion. There were rumors that Beyonce might do 6 months. Kelly Clarkson, Lady Gaga.
Everybody that you just mentioned either needed to become relevant again, or they had lived their glory days and probably wanted to do one more thing. That does not, like, Taylor does not need to become relevant.
Yeah.
No, I just, like, I don't think that that's what she's going to do. I'm sorry. I just, like...
I don't want it to be because that, how you just described it is, regardless of how they might be trying to change it, is how I view it, first of all. And I think a lot of the people that I've seen perform there, I haven't found it to be, it just looks like a money grab.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like they need relevance, they need money, they're promoting something, whatever.
Yeah. There is some speculation that it could be considered kind of like the sister album to Midnight. One thing that's interesting.
What would that even mean?
Well, it's kind of like how Folklore and Evermore, their sister albums.
But wouldn't you have to create that with the same collaborator in order for it to be considered similar in music and to be a sister album? Like, it would have to be a Jack Antonoff.
No, it sounds like Max Martin and Shellback did do some work on Midnight.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. Again, it's just a theory.
Yeah.
Some people have pointed out the color aesthetic and wondering if it has, this is going to sound crazy, but I've seen this on Reddit quite a bit. So I'm like, I don't know. Talking about copper oxidation. And what they mean is like the Statue of Liberty was orange. And because it was copper, right? And over time, the oxidation turned it that green color.
Okay.
So,
but what does that mean? Like, what relevance would that have to anything?
It would be like the transformation, like what happens to you after overexposure.
Okay. I mean, that is a reach, but I wouldn't put it past her.
I wouldn't put anything past anyone. Now, I will tell you one of my theories. So I think keeping it 100, I think 47, and I think full send. Those are 3 things that I think we'll find somewhere in the lyrics. Keeping it 100, full send, and something to do with 47. So I think her track, The Fate of Ophelia, is going to be the Blake Lively song. Ophelia in Hamlet is surrounded by flowers. She's giving away flowers to people. And
that's relevant because it ends with us during her whole like campaign or like their PR tour for that movie. Florals was like the whole theme of it. It was very much in your face, the floral summer of it all.
yes. In addition to that, Blake Lively plays a character named Ophelia in a movie called Savages. So that was back in 2012. So I have a feeling that will be the one that gives us the Blake Lively tea.
Okay.
If we're going to get any. Canceled is another track. And that one we're hearing rumblings could be the one that is about the orange guy. I don't know. But she makes a point of showing us that it's all caps exclamation points, which is how he tends to tweet about her.
Wait, that is so funny. I really hope so.
I know. Again, this is why it's like,
burn him.
Yeah, I don't think she's of that camp. Okay. She's brought up Elizabeth Taylor before. So she's got a track called Elizabeth Taylor on this one. She's referenced Elizabeth Taylor in previous music. So I'm not really sure there. The one that she's got, I think it's called Opalite, if that's how you say it. Travis Kelce's birthstone is the opal. And she's releasing this the same week of his birthday. So there's talk that people think that one could be about him.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. Father figure, I'm not sure if it is a sample of George Michael's song or if it's not. I'm wondering if it could be about the guy that originally sold her music. The original one, not Scott whatever that she hates.
Yeah,
but the one that sold it to
not
him.
Scooter Braun. Is what
right, not Scooter Braun,
yeah.
but the one that sold it to him.
Sometimes I'm like, I thought you knew the whole biography and some of the things that I know very well, like the fact that it was Scooter Braun. You're like, that Scott guy.
I don't do names well at all. And I actually believe that one of the reasons for that is because when you're deaf, you mispronounce things all the time.
Oh, right.
And so you tend to get really nervous with names because there can be like judgment on saying certain people's names incorrectly or whatever. It's something that when I'm talking to people that are deaf or hard of hearing and we talk about different struggles we have, that's a big one. If we're ever not sure on a name or a word, you don't even really want to try because and a lot of the times it doesn't matter how many times somebody clarifies it because what they're not getting is like, right, I can't hear that.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to mimic your lips.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's really helpful to know. And I feel like good representation.
I try,
So I'll stop being a bitch about you calling him Yee.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Now, I don't know. She's got a title, one track called Eldest Daughter, which some people think that one might be the Blake Lively one because their eldest daughter is her goddaughter.
Yeah.
Right. So possibly. I do not think. I think because she's got one called Ruin the Friendship. And I think most Swifties would tell you we would think that's too on the nose.
Totally too on the nose. Yeah.
So
it's a red herring.
Yes. She's got one called Actually Romantic. I cannot give you my theory on this one, unfortunately, because I shouldn't have seen it. It was something that popped up and it's been removed, and I will never share leaks. So I know what the theory is. There's a theory that it's about her and Travis, but I don't think that theory is accurate now, and I can't tell you why that is.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Wait, you can't tell even me off air?
I could tell you off air.
Okay. Tell me off air, for God's sake.
Okay.
I'm like, what did Taylor call you and say, like, don't tell anyone? Why are you not telling me?
Well, I'm not sure. I don't really have any theories on Wishlist. Wishlist is the one where the S's are dollar signs.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard much rumbling on this one either. Like,
my guess would be that it's about her getting her music back.
Maybe. Maybe. I almost wonder, I mean, it could be, but I almost wonder if it's more about people thinking that she wants money, like with them being dollar signs and that not being something that's ever motivated her. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm just trying to get through it. There's not a lot of tracks, thank God, so we won't be here all day. Wood, which
Like WOULD?
UOOD.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just checking. Okay.
Now, before we go with what first comes to mind, I will tell you that Swifties noticed a small Pinocchio figurine on a shelf behind her during the New Heights podcast.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's an Easter egg for sure.
So if we're going with something like that, Pinocchio being made of wood turns into a real boy, that whole thing.
Yeah.
So that could be that. Then we have the canceled one that I already told you. I'm pretty sure that will be our Orange Guy song. And I think then we've got Honey, not sure at all.
Okay.
And then The Life of a Showgirl, which is the title track and the one that she is collaborating with Sabrina Carpenter.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like Sabrina Carpenter's music, so I'm going to be interested about this collab and whether I'll like it.
Yeah, same. Now, remember when they showed us the preview for New Heights, we had already seen a couple Easter eggs just in there where I told you we could see that there looked like there were like 4 albums.
Yeah.
And last night, after she announced the album, we did see that there were 4 variations, all with the same 12, but just different covers.
Sure.
Right? That could be it. However, I would say that like a lot of the Swifties out there right now, it feels like there's something else to it besides just that, especially with the color variation. The other thing that was interesting, I'm going to send you a picture of this, or I'll do it myself, just whichever one of us edits. But I don't know if you can see this. So this was from her website last night as we were waiting for the podcast. So she had a new countdown clock.
Right.
And then she has these 4 doors, or there's 4 little balls. You see they're orange, pink, blue, and white.
Okay.
And then there's the orange door in the middle that's being like air beamed up, right?
Yeah.
So the door that's all the way, or the box that's all the way on the right that is white, like that one all the way over there.
Uh-huh.
That was not there until the last 10 minutes of the countdown.
Yeah.
So I wonder if this could be a standalone record. There's only 12, but then it might have a sister record that's going to come out. And that I kind of think that the album, and I know this sounds weird because the Eras Tour has all of its own songs, but I almost wonder if this is going to be more the soundtrack to the documentary.
Yeah, no, I feel like that is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and they'll actually play the music in the documentary,
yeah, because what we know about, well, we don't know anything, but what we think we know about the documentary, well, what we know about the album is that she said it's not about the public's perception of me as an artist or any of that. It's about the behind the scenes of what it's like to be a person going through that, being an entertainer, right? Kind of like something like that. She said it way better than I just did.
Yeah, but exactly what you said, but also she references it being a behind the scenes, a pull back the curtain of the Eras Tour.
Right.
Like that time in her life.
That time in her life, yes. When she says that, I'm thinking, okay, so if this album has a bunch of songs on it that kind of document what that time in her life felt like, which is what she says it does, then I can definitely see it being a soundtrack to a documentary that isn't her performing the Eras Tour, because we already got that.
Exactly.
Obviously. It's about what her life was like as she was on the Eras Tour, what happened in her life during that 2 years that she was on tour, which is a lot. One of her most best friends in the world, that friendship dissolved in a pretty public way. She found somebody that she loves and was falling in love during this time. She was going through physical, like a huge physical feat during that time.
She had her heart broken at the very beginning of the tour with the whole situation with Matt Healy.
Right.
You know, and that's how we got
at the very beginning of the tour.
Yeah.
She had just broken up with Joe.
Right.
So actually, like, a few evolutions of relationships through the Eras tour happened, because then it was Maddie Healy, and then it was she met Travis.
Right.
And, you know, all of the publicity that all of that got, like, I can just see that. I can totally see this being a soundtrack to a documentary for sure.
That would, I really, really think that's where we're going to go. Because look, even if she does a documentary and maybe she doesn't talk a whole lot about her love life, which wouldn't, you know, she tends to put that in her music, there's still plenty to talk about.
Yeah.
There's so much that happened during that tour that we watched, like learning how she was bringing millions of dollars to every city she performed in. Like, what was that like to experience? You know, and I mean, my God, it would do well whether it came out in theaters and Netflix, it wouldn't matter. It would do phenomenal.
Yeah.
So that is just, my gut tells me that there's going to be a lot more coming.
Yeah. Also, during the Eras tour, she was writing this album.
Yes.
And Tortured Poets had just come out. So yeah, there was just like, there's so much that happened during that period of time. Yeah. I feel like that's my theory. That I'm going with that theory. I think that this being a soundtrack to a documentary, and that's what we're going to get eventually, probably before the holidays. That would be my guess.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
So do you think that then, if there's a song about the Orange Man on this album, she multiple times references 47, like, if this is a theory we're running with, then are we to assume that in the documentary she is going to talk about this?
I would think so.
Her feud?
Yeah, I would think so.
I don't know if you can call it a feud if it's one-sided, but
that's exactly what I was going to say. Is I have a feeling that that's something else she would address. This is a one-sided thing. I don't need to say anything about you.
Yeah.
You
do it for yourself.
Me. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Mister, did you just put your hands in my mouth? Okay. So
that's what we got. We're all going to wait and see, you know, what happens. And there has been a lot of hints at September 12th being a date that may come up. So there is a little bit of waiting to see, are we going to get another announcement around that time? Whether that's just a single. I did hear that she was filming or caught filming in LA, I think yesterday. And that was, they said, for a music video, that they saw her going into a, whatever you call it.
Music studio?
Yeah, like a set design for a music video. That was what Reddit said.
Okay. Any more juicy details that we should talk about?
The only other thing is there has been some, the fans are so good at the backlash they create when leaks happen. And what they will do is they will start making their own like AI music, their own AI art, and just kind of flood the social media sites with fake leaks. So then you're not sure what's real, what's not. You know, they take that very serious, which is why, like, I won't share anything I hear, like, because the idea is that, you know, we want to be surprised. We want to enjoy this. You don't want to have it leaked.
Yeah.
So there has been a little bit of backlash, like people getting angry. And this is not a fan base you want to piss off.
No.
You know? So if I had something like that I could leak, like I would be so scared that they would come for me, you know?
Yeah. So we won't be doing that here.
No, we will not.
We will not. But is the theory then that the lyrics that have been out and about are real or are fake?
There is one set that are real. That the theory is that those are real.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
because we've gotten fake leaked lyrics before that were like not
Yes.
real
Yes.
and very much seemed like they were created by AI.
Yes. Now, I actually had to give my son a very stern lecture a year and a half ago because he was at school and he texted me every one of the songs on Tortured Poets about 4 days before the album came out. And he was very proud of himself that he had found all these. And so we had a talk and I was, no, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You have to wait like the rest of us and support people that do that. And
hello, it's Lauren from the future, realizing that we forgot to end off this podcast episode with all the chaos with the kids and stuff. So thanks for listening. We love you guys. And we are going to put the poem that we talked about at the beginning of this podcast here at the end. So we hope you like it. We would love to know your fan theories. What do you think is happening? I've read some stuff even since recording this podcast yesterday that have me feeling very excited. Super Bowl, perhaps. So keep us in the loop. Let us know what you guys think. And until next time, goodbye.
Let it be recorded for whatever species finds this scorched slab of earth a million years from now and learns to read through radioactive glaze, that in the year of our Lord 2025, the United States of America, that high-minded experiment in liberty and lunacy, entered the second reign of Donald J. Trump. The crown was not returned by vote alone, but by fear, fatigue, fraudulence, and the magnificent machinery of misinformation. And in the first 100 days of this revival tour of executive buffoonery, the nation was reminded that if history does not repeat itself, it damn well rhymes in a minor key. The first order of business naturally was vengeance, not against foreign powers or looming threats to the republic, but against dignity, decency, and the ghost of democracy itself. Executive orders were signed in a blur of swollen fingers and synthetic jubilation. Immigration was once again used as a wedge, cutting clean through the sinews of the Statue of Liberty's old promise. Environmental protections were gutted with the ferocity of a mobster clearing ledgers, and in a cruel twist of Orwellian comedy, the Department of Education began distributing pamphlets referring to slavery as involuntary relocation, while erasing mention of LGBTQ plus history and civil rights leaders not named Reagan or Thatcher. All of it happened fast. Fascism doesn't march anymore. It scrolls, it tweets, it signs things in gold ink with televised applause. It moves like an iPhone notification, and Americans, God bless us, we watched. Some in horror, some in glee, and most with numb caffeine-stained stupor, as the Constitution became a suggestion and the Bill of Rights just a nostalgia piece for bored high schoolers. But still there were daffodils. That's the damn thing. There were still daffodils. In Washington, Connecticut, and Little Rock, Arkansas, and Dayton, Ohio, those little yellow things pushed up through the crust like stubborn, laughing rebels. They bloomed under the same skies that bolstered lies and drones, and that's what we had the first 100 days. Beauty and bullshit in equal measure. Hope and horror holding hands like nervous lovers before a war. The protests began on day one, not with torches or fists, but with signs, songs, and soup kitchens. Women, men, children, old veterans in worn coats, teenagers with skateboards and poetry in their pockets, all took to the streets because while the president declared himself emperor by executive fiat and tried to criminalize dissent under the guise of order, America's better angels remembered that disobedience is not only a right, it's a right. They marched in the rain, they danced in the snow, they organized potlucks and burned out old towns where factories once breathed, because even in hell, flowers grow. And the people wept, and they laughed, and they sang, and they stood their ground. The founding fathers would have lost their minds. Jefferson would have run to Paris. Franklin would have started printing anti-Trump pamphlets called Poor Donnie's Almanac. Hamilton would have challenged the bastard to a duel on the steps of Mar-a-Lago, and Washington would have burned the whole damn thing down and started over. These men were many things, hypocrites, slaveholders, radicals, but they knew tyranny when they saw it, and they didn't build a republic to see it auctioned off like a foreclosed casino in Atlantic City. So here we are, watching the same old tricks dressed in newer, shinier wrapping, watching the working class praise billionaires who sold their jobs overseas, watching families rip themselves apart over propaganda that turns neighbors into enemies, watching politicians talk about liberty while building bigger fences, better guns, and longer prison sentences for protesters and pregnant women, but we are not gone, not by a long shot. The joy still lingers in the corners of this crumbling house. You can find it in church basements where organizers pass around flyers and bowls of chili. You can feel it on the floor of punk rock shows and rural gymnasiums all across the Midwest. You can see it in the smirks of teachers who still sneak Howard Zinn into the curriculum. It is the joy of resistance, not the loud defiance of martyrs, but the quiet daily decision to do what's right, even when it's no longer legal. And that matters, because the thing about America is that it's always been two countries, one of power, privilege, and violent control, and one of rebellion, poetry, and freedom songs. The second one never really ruled, but goddamn if it didn't stir the soul. So let the first 100 days be remembered not just for the shameful executive orders or the cultish pageantry of folk patriotism, but for the stubborn hope that wouldn't die. Let them write about the daffodils and the child who held a cardboard sign that said, "Be kind or be quiet," the old women who smuggled contraceptives into red states and called it reverse evangelism. We are still here. The Republic may be in hospice, hooked to a ventilator of corporate interest and bleeding civil liberties out of every orifice, but the spirit that birthed it still kicks like hell under the sheets. Even if these tyrants want to kill that spirit, they'll have to chase it through every cracked sidewalk, every school library, every dive bar, every protest song sang at midnight, because the thing they keep forgetting is this: people don't need permission, only a reason. And the first 100 days of this jackboot parade have given us more reasons than we ever asked for. And still the daffodils bloom to find still death.